This is a 2012 Suzuki King Quad 400. It's the ASI automatic fuel injected, and I bought it with 220 miles on it, and it runs real well, but it was starting difficult. The first start of the day in the morning and stuff, or if it sat for quite a while, it wouldn't like to start. Even it does have a it looks like a choke lever, but it's basically because it's fuel injected, it's a high idle lever. It just bumps the idle up. But like I say, when it was cold, it was starting tough. It would sit there and crank and crank and crank, and then if you did hit the high idle lever, it would actually kind of make it worse. So I got looking into this and trying to figure out what was going on with it. One thing it does recommend in the manual, if it's really cold weather and it's starting difficult, you can actually switch to a iridium plug. I can't see that for whatever reason, but it's a it's not going to go. It's a CR6EIA-9 laser iridium. It's by NGK. That's what it says on the manual to switch to. I did that, and it did seem like it helped a little bit, but anyway, I think that there was another problem. So what I did was, you got to remove your seat and the side panel. Also, there's several clips. You remove them. It's the same as these here and stuff. You pop those out, and then you can get to your fuel injection system. And it's kind of difficult to see, but right in, oops, here is a TPS sensor. See if it'll focus. There it is. So the wires just run out. Actually, I ended up moving the wires a little bit so I can get to it easier because I was testing it. But what I did was, you need I think it's a T25 Torx bit, and you need to break that loose, that little bolt right there, and then you can actually adjust the TPS. Oh, it'll focus in there. You can adjust the TPS up or down. You can see that it has the slightest little gap up here right now, and yeah, there's a slight gap on the bottom of it. But anyway, when you break that loose, you can actually pivot that TPS up and down, and what that does is either make it idle higher or lower, but it also affects the throttle response. So when you break it loose and adjust that just slightly up or down, you'll notice a difference in the idle and whatnot. And then you're going to have to bump the throttle and see if it still responds okay and whatnot, because if you go to the extreme, it may cut out as soon as you hit the throttle. But I messed with that just by adjusting it slightly to help it with the cold start, and it definitely excuse me, made it much better. The only thing was, I lost my idle. The idle, it you know, did not want to idle smoothly anymore, and it kept stalling out. So the next thing I had to do was, you need a 4mm Allen, and the thing of it is this is in your way to get to the actual idle adjustment. This isn't like a regular carbureted model where you just have a little knob. This actually has right down in here, kind of below, let's see here, there it is. It's a little bit below the TPS. That's your idle. And if you take a Allen with a ball on the end of it, you can actually go in at an angle like this. It's kind of hard to film this and do it, but you can get into it at an angle and just slightly turn that. So after you adjust the TPS to where it feels like it starts or sounds like it starts much better and the idle is affected, then you can adjust that in or out. And I believe it was turning it out raised the idle, turning it in decreased it, which obviously you'll be able to tell as soon as you touch it. But after doing those two things, like I say, I did switch to a iridium plug just because, and I adjusted the TPS and then adjusted my idle. This thing now starts so much better. It used to sit there and crank. Once it was warm, and throughout the day, if you were running it every so often, as soon as you bumped the start button, it would run. But it was those first couple of starts in the morning, and you know, like I say, if it sat a long time, it really cranked over way too much. And so by doing that, adjusting those two things, this thing is running and starting so much better. So hopefully this might help you out, try to figure out, you know, if you have the same issue. Hopefully it'll help you out and you can adjust yours. So thanks for watching.